came by today to see you. Oh, I had to let you know. If I knew the last time that I held you was the last time, I'd have held you and never let go. Oh, it's kept me awake nights wondering. I lie in the dark just asking why. I've always been told you won't be called home until it's your time. I guess heaven was needing a hero, somebody just like you, brave enough to stand up for what you believe and follow it through. When I try to make it make sense in my mind, the only conclusion I come to is that heaven was needing a hero like you. I remember the last time I saw you. Oh, you held your head up proud. I laughed inside when I saw how you were standing out in the crowd. You're such a part of who I am. Now that part will just be void. No matter how much I need you now, heaven needed you more. 'Cause heaven was needing a hero, somebody just like you, brave enough to stand up for what you believe and follow it through. When I try to make it make sense in my mind, the only conclusion I come to is that heaven was needing a hero like you. Yes, heaven was needing a hero, and that's you.
We have gathered here today to celebrate and remember and give thanks for the life of Lynette May Vallone, known as Lyn, Linny, Mum, Nanny, who passed away peacefully on Thursday the 18th of May. And we welcome you all here this morning, and we welcome friends and family who are watching this service live stream. My name is Rosanna Gallo, civil celebrant, and the family have graced me with the privilege and honour of conducting this funeral ceremony for a wonderful woman, loved by her husband Frank, daughter Megan, son and daughter-in-law Tim and Jackie, son and daughter-in-law Chris and Kristen, son and daughter-in-law Anthony and Hayley, and son Joseph. Loved by her 12 grandchildren, Bindi, Stevie, Ketis, Riley, Taya, Georgia, Jessie, Tyler, Marley, Sebastian, Leo, Sophia, and also dearly loved by her brother and sister-in-law, Kelly and Helene. We have gathered to give thanks for the gift that Lynette was to you all. She lit up our world for 74 years, and we are here to celebrate her life and the vital and integral link that she was to your past and your present. And we all have our memories, and it is our memories which sustain us during this time of grief. She has left a huge void in our lives that cannot be replaced. She was a true giver, a devoted wife, and a devoted mother, mother-in-law, and grandmother, and finally a friend to all. Lynette loved life, and she loved others. Her life was an example of kindness, dedication, devotion, compassion, being supportive, and was very keen for others to do well. Lynette was born on the 2nd of February 1949 in Inverell, New South Wales. She was the youngest of two, with older brother Kelly. Both Lynette and Kelly were raised by their uncle Kevin Murray and their grandparents. Lynette's childhood home was in Inverell, and then they moved to Lidcombe in Sydney, where she attended Lidcombe Public School and Auburn High School. Lynette took on a professional role as lab technician and then worked as a science assistant in high schools. Lynette's first marriage was in 1969 and then married Frank Vallone in 1999. Together with Lynette's 3 children, Tim, Megan and Chris, and with Frank's 2 sons, Anthony and Joseph, they created their own beautiful family. Lynette looked after Frank's boys with unconditional love and dedication, together with her own children. Lynette was very organised and involved with Frank in their business, building award-winning homes across Sydney. She was instrumental in helping achieve these dreams. She was a loving and devoted wife, mother and mother-in-law, grandmother, and family was her priority. Lynette, together with Frank, loved taking them on many family holidays. Staying healthy and fit was also a priority for both Lynette and Frank, and they enjoyed walking together every day and eating healthy foods. Lynette was a people person, loyal, considerate, fair, selfless, a no-drama person, and a calming force. Lynette was giving and selfless and would always ask the other person how they were going rather than dwell on herself. She would never ask anyone to do anything and would do it herself. She loved her friends and had many long-time friends. Her friendship ties were quite strong. Lynette was quite popular and she was a good sport. As we gather to say goodbye today to this very special woman, we stop to remember Lynette and all those things that made her unique, who made her who she was. It is also during seasons of life such as this that we realise that life, as we know, is unpredictable. Life tells us that we're not guaranteed tomorrow, and we must treasure what we have at every moment in time. And I am convinced that the emotions that we are experiencing today are shared with all of us, and Lynette loved all of you. I would now like to conclude my introductory remarks with a poem, Afterglow by Carol Merkel, which foreshadows the themes of our celebration service. I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun, of happy memories that I leave when life is done. I would now like to invite Anthony Vallone, who will share memories and stories on behalf of his father Frank and himself.
Today my dad Frank has asked me to speak on his behalf. This was written by him, and I hope I do his words justice. Lyn, I don't know where to start. It has been a privilege to be your husband for the last 25 wonderful years. Your caring nature was something I cherished each and every day. Thank you for raising my two boys who are both family-orientated and caring people because of you. You would always do anything for your family and friends. Your friends were the most important thing in your life, and you had so many of them, it taught me to be a better person. We did achieve some wonderful things together, memories and friendships along the way. I promise I will keep your favourite spot warm where we had coffee and take any friend that wants to sit with me and talk about you. I have already been there many times. I will miss holding your hand everywhere we went, sitting very close to you on the lounge and waking up next to you each day. Until we meet again, you will always be in my heart, which continues to ache every minute of every day since you passed. I will always love you. Please stay watching over us. I procrastinated about writing this speech for such a long time. I felt that writing it would make this a reality. Lyn, I wanted to thank you for raising me as your own, always being there for me, especially when I felt alone and needed advice or someone to talk to. Thank you for being there for our kids and being such a big part of their life. I know they are going to miss you so much. I know I'm going to miss our long, almost daily phone chats, whether it was to help you with your computer or just chatting about what was going on in our daily lives. While I didn't see it at the time, Lyn, you came into my life at exactly the right moment. The time where I needed a mother to guide me through life. You continued to do this until the day you left us. I often told you how much you mean to me and how I wouldn't be the man I am today without you. You were the most generous and selfless person I know. You gave all your time to helping others, even in death. I'm sure I speak for everyone here when I say you will be deeply missed. Until we meet again.
Thank you, Anthony, for sharing your heartfelt memories and also on behalf of your father, Frank. I would now like to invite Lynette's son, Chris, who will share his personal memories and stories.
Mum, you were selfless, driven, empathetic, loving, and most importantly, made everyone she knew a better human being. I know you can all attest to that. She had an uncanny way of making you strive to be a better and held the same regard for herself. I feel there was always something missing in Mum's life growing up without her parents. However, I knew she didn't leave any stone unturned to try and find her father. In our family, it seems she put all her effort into making sure all of us had the best life and upbringing we could ever have, even when she wasn't happy. Growing up as the third favourite child back then, I may have had some hyperactivity issues. So off Mum popped to get me into every sport possible, travelling across New South Wales 7 days a week. Looking back, I always wondered whether this was what she wanted me to do or whether it was for her sanity. When she met Frank, I dropped even further down the pecking order, with another 2 children and husband to look after. Joseph and Anthony now know the unconditional love that Mum gives and, most importantly, asks for nothing in return. After that, every grandchild only pushed me further down the list. But Mum, you really know who your favourite is, don't you? When I was older, I always knew I could count on Mum, no matter where she was, to comfort me or guide me through a situation. She worked hard on her health and also on mine. Whenever I have been sick or injured, myself, even as an adult, all I want to do is to be near Mum. In no time, she would be there. My favourite pastime all my life has been winding her up, though. Whether that be telling her I'm taking the kids for a moto ride and we've decided we don't wear helmets anymore, or as Taya reminded me recently, putting 101 candle on her birthday cake at her last birthday and making the restaurant staff walk it through the restaurant to us. There is not one person in this room that I believe hasn't been affected by her kindness and caring nature. Never asking for help or complaining ever, and always making people feel comfortable and cared for. Frank and I were chatting the other day about her ability to be able to not give you a well done or congratulations, but give you enough so you did a good job, but you always wanted to do better next time. Striving for perfection and happiness. Mum had an insatiable energy, attitude and attention to detail for making things perfect in her life, in her home, for her friends and for her family. Never forgetting a birthday, a life event or a moment in time. Mum, your last and most important gift was the gift of life. With the donation of your lungs to a child in Melbourne. The most unselfish gift of all. Your lungs were so healthy, the recipient left ICU after 4 days. Mum had told me one day that I needed to be a donor, and without question, I ticked the box. It's only now I realise the gift she spoke of. And the importance of what Mum has taught me. If any of you want to do anything for Mum, all you need to do is become a donor. As you all know, it's not for her, but for someone else. Mum, Lyn, Linny, and Guzzle, it is way too early to be standing here and saying goodbye. We aren't yet ready for it to be all about Frankie. I know you're up there with Jan, Kevin, Di, and your parents looking down on us. I've lost my best friend, my confidant, and the centre of my universe. Goodbye.
Thank you, Chris, for sharing your heartfelt thoughts and memories of your mum. I will now invite Lynette's brother, Kelly Holder, who will share his memories and stories.
Firstly, I would like to thank you all for coming. Knowing Lyn, I'm sure she would be unbelievably touched by your presence. And I thank you very much for coming to share this very special moment with us. Lyn and I were raised by our grandparents and Uncle Kevin. We were both born in Inverell. A year or so after Lyn was born, our parents parted and we went to live with our grandparents. Soon after, our mother fell very ill. Our grandparents knew that she would not get the medical treatment she needed in Inverell, so they packed up, sold everything, and we moved to Sydney. Sadly, our mother passed away not long after we arrived in Sydney. In our younger days, we would spend a lot of weekends and holidays up at Saratoga. A lot of Kevin's friends had a holiday house up there. Kevin was about 15 years older than me. He was like a big brother to us. He'd take us up to great places, 2 kids just tagging along. I have fond memories of Lyn and I playing with other kids, out the back of pubs, being handed lemonade out through the windows, also hanging with all his mates at Saratoga, going to their parties, probably seeing a lot of things we shouldn't know about at that age. We both attended Lidcombe Primary School in our first school years. Lyn went to Auburn Girls High School. She was incredibly good at school, good at sport, and would not think of doing anything wrong. She was also dressed in a proper school uniform, even became a prefect. Lyn was also crowned Miss Auburn Girls High School. We were so different at school. I was exactly the opposite to Lyn. In our early teens, we started to venture out instead of being Kevin's 2 little shadows. I think he relished the fact that, as I think we were probably starting to cruel him a little bit with the girls. Our first thoughts were, let's get to the beach. So every weekend we're off to the beach, Manly of course. Poor Lyn was restricted by our grandparents. They had very old ideas and were very strict with what she could and couldn't do. She was only allowed to go to the beach provided it was me. If only they knew. Our times at the beach were great. The trip to the beach on the old train, the Red Rattlers, and especially the ferry, the Paul Lolly Boy. We were able to meet new friends, a lot of which we still have today. And with me as chaperone, she could get to meet boys, especially my mates. Next, we were old enough to get cars, which opened up lots of new horizons. This became another problem for our grandparents, the cars. By this time, Lyn had met Ray, her first husband. Lyn had realised by now that she was not going to get much freedom. The only way to be free would be to get married. So Lyn and Ray were married and she finally had her freedom. I can't say much about what happened in her life for the next 15 years or so, as we would only catch up on some Christmases. As Lyn always told me, you're only interested in travelling overseas and surfing. Lyn was always mothering me, her older brother. We started to be in contact with each other again after I'd met Elaine and we had our son Bindi. I think she thought that I might be going to become normal now or something like that. I will never forget one day we were having a glass of wine together and having a deep and meaningful. And Mother Lyn said, I hope you're going to settle down now. You know you're over 40. Lyn just cared for everyone around her. It didn't matter who it was. As soon as Chris, her youngest, finished school, Lyn left Ray. She told me I wanted to wait until the kids had finished their schooling. Lyn then bought a unit in Narrabeen to set up a new life for herself. Eventually, Lyn was lucky enough to meet her real soulmate, Frank. After they married, they moved to Church Point. When they first moved there, I remember Lyn saying, I haven't got many friends here. Well, that didn't last very long. At last I felt Lyn was in her element. I could see the real freedom that she felt for the first time in her life. This is what she really needed to flourish, and flourish she did. It's amazing the amount of my friends who have been telling me lately, "That's your sister. We see them all the time walking down to Church Point, hand in hand. Such a beautiful couple." As Frank's business grew, Lyn, as usual, stepped up to the plate. Everything was so organised. Lyn ran the administrative side of the business like everything else she did. She did it all, paying the bills, running the finance side of the business, chasing materials. Her filing system was unbelievable. She knew where everything was. For someone who was trained as a lab technician, she did an unbelievable job, just like a professional accountant. This together with running the household and keeping the house impeccably clean and organised. We would have our morning conversations, probably when she was driving down to Megan, and probably to help her for a few days, or out to Chris's or Anthony's to babysit, or take the kids somewhere. Lyn would fit more into a week than most people would fit into a month, but still have time for a social life and coffee with the girls. It was a real credit to her. Both Elaine and I felt she was at last the happy Lyn we needed to see. Lyn, I know you're going to be missed by so many people. Your smiling face, warm friendship, your caring nature for those around you, and even the mothering you gave me, trying to set me on a straight path. I still cannot get my head around that Lyn is gone, and we are here today. Elaine, Bindi and I will miss you so much. Thanks for being a real friend and my sister. Goodbye, Guzzle.
Thank you, Kelly, for sharing your beautiful memories and stories of your sister, Lynette. I will now share on behalf of Lyn's closest friends, Suzanne McCabe, her memories and stories. I'm so grateful to have known Lyn for over 30 years. She was my best friend, and we were always there for each other. Our children went to the same school, and now our grandchildren also go to the same school. We shared many grandparents' days together at our grandchildren's primary school. I think Lyn was the best dressed, trendiest grandparent there. She always looked gorgeous. Not a week would go by where we didn't call or message each other. She was one of the most caring, kind and generous people I know, always looking out for me and checking I'm okay. We journeyed many life experiences together, the good and the not so good. Over the years, we enjoyed some wonderful girly getaways together, including Club Med in Bali, Melbourne, Surfers Paradise, Noosa, and just recently Singapore. I recall we wore crash hats, completely not our style, and braved whitewater rafting in Bali. We loved it. I have fond memories of us getting dolled up every night in our finest outfits, hitting the town and sipping cocktails at sunset. Being social butterflies, we shared a network of wonderful friends, which I know she valued and appreciated. Every 6 weeks, we lunched with the Dining Dolls group, exploring new restaurants and cafes. I feel blessed to have just enjoyed a 10-day holiday in Singapore with Lyn, only 5 weeks ago. We sipped cocktails at sunset. This was a theme of ours. Chatted for hours and explored Singapore's sights. What a wonderful adventure to share with my best friend. I will miss our long walks, chats, clothes shopping sprees, brekkie catch-ups, and so much more. Lyn was such a beautiful person and friend. I have so many fond memories to cherish. Lyn, I love you and miss you already. Thank you for being one of my best friends. You will forever be in my heart. And thank you, Suzanne, for sharing this beautiful memory of yours, and what a special best friend she was to you. I will now invite Jane Donnelly, who is a good friend of the family, to share her stories and memories of Lynette.
Thank you. When you have the privilege of meeting someone like Lyn, you never take it for granted. And there are people that pass through your life that are larger than life itself, and then there are people that bring to your life a softer side, full of sincerity, laughter, friendship and warmth. This for us was Lyn, and she was always ready for a chat and always had a smile on her face. So on behalf of the ladies of the ADC, myself, Jane, Helene, Tony, Gail, Jan, Marianne and Robin, I would like to share with you and pay tribute our memories of Lyn. The guys and Lyn, the guys being our partners, all met Lyn as kids and teens, and Lyn quickly became the leader of that group, I think. When they all came together as adults, Lyn then welcomed all the partners into that group as well, very, very warmly. And in fact, Frank became an honorary girl with the rest of us. The group gave themselves a name. We're all here today, and we called ourselves the ADCs, Aged, Dazed and Confused. And we lived up to that group very, very well. The history and the long friendship that Lyn had with our guys was very special. She knew stories about our men that only someone who'd grown up with young blokes knew. And she kept their confidence and she kept their secrets. She loved them all and was very caring of them. She was protective and as loving to them in 2023 as she was when they were kids. Lyn was really pivotal to our group. She was non-judgmental, kind, considerate, full of compassion and terribly organised, as someone said before. We met every year for the last 15 years, barring COVID, for 4 to 5 days, and we would find houses all over the place in Australia and also in New Zealand, and we'd all stay in a house together, which is no mean feat for anybody. But Lyn's ability to join and combine the group was fantastic and will never be forgotten. The ADC events were very important to her, and she'd found the house that we were to go to on the 5th of June this year, down in Dalesford, but we're not going to go this year. We're going to keep that one and maybe go in her memory. I know we'll go in her memory. And while Lyn really didn't love fancy dress, she was such a stylish lady, the fancy dress and the styles that we all thought about, she always got involved in our theme nights and made herself very involved and ensured that we all laughed and were happy. One of the fond memories that we thought of when we were putting these words together is that Lyn, one time we decided we'd celebrate a fake wedding. Lyn decided that she would come as the flower girl. She dressed up in a pink tutu and had little plastic bows in her hair, and she looked absolutely gorgeous. It was so her. And at another dress up, we were all hippies, which they all knew how to be hippies because that's what they were in the day, I think. And she really entertained us with her very cool dance moves, her 60s dance moves. But Lyn always found time for a deep and meaningful, as Kelly said before. Those D&Ms with her will be treasured by all of us, especially all the girls. And we have great memories of her sound advice that she gave us. We remember her radiant and mischievous smile. She was beautiful, energetic, vibrant, and is going to be missed enormously. But she was also funny. She had a magic laugh, loved to tell stories, and she had a memory that couldn't be challenged. Never do anything and try and get away from it. But she was a clean freak, our words. She always ensured that we cleaned up at night, no matter how many glasses of bubbles we'd consumed. And then the next morning she'd be up early, making breakfast and have everything organised well, especially me, we're still trying to get out of bed. She always had a smile on her face, but she was always freezing cold. She called herself the cold frog. But she gave the biggest and the best hugs for someone her size. It was just unbelievable. I'll miss that. So none of us can quite believe that we'll never have another glass of bubbles with her, or a glass of wine, or hear her recounts of life in Mona Vale, or hear about her fabulous kids and grandkids, or hear about her fun with Frank and the coffees, and the memories of the guys all growing up in Lidcombe together. And we'll also miss those supportive ways and of course her love. It's cruel, we're devastated, but we're enriched from knowing Lyn, and her legacy will live on in us forever. Thank you.
And thank you, Jane, for sharing your special memories and stories with us. I will now invite longtime friend Kevin Hall, who will share his special stories and memories.
I think Lyn would really love to be here to see this, to see so many people here that genuinely and truly had touched her heart and she in turn had touched yours. I'm one of the guys that surfed with Lyn back in the 60s down at Manly, and that friendship extended all the way through, right through till today. And I feel truly honoured and privileged to be able to stand up here and represent the guys, and some of them are here. Some I've known for 71 years. Some we've experienced all sorts of different things. Most of them I won't relay with you today because I know they'll come back and say things about me. But we shared a great life together. And what we did has brought us close together. And we still, as Jane mentioned, we meet together as couples once a year. And quite often the guys would say, look, there's been things happening in life. Why don't we get together for a lunch, or we'll just go for a drink? The memories of Lyn that I have go back to when I was about 12 or 13, 14 years old. We grew up in the same area. I surfed with Lyn's brother, Kelly. The other guys that we surfed with, and Lyn came down. She never really knew how to wax up a surfboard properly, but that was something we endeavoured to teach her, but she just never got the used to it. But even back then, there was one thing, and we've heard all of these things that have been said about all of the attributes and what she was. But the one thing that really always stood out to me was her humility. And even Jane mentioned after we'd finish a function, we'd be going away, Lyn would be one of the first to get up there and do the dishes. And my wife Jan said, what are you going to say today? And I said, well, I don't really know, because I don't know, and I didn't want to overlap with what anyone else was going to say. But one of the things that stood in my mind was just doing the dishes with Lyn. And everybody be partying on. They might be dancing or talking and drinking and carrying on. And Lyn would be the first to get up and help with the dishes. She was always the one there organising things, but she never wanted to be the limelight. She was very much behind the scenes. In Frank's business, Frank and Lyn's business, Lyn was the one who was doing all the behind the works things. Frank was the one who was out there with the designing, organising the guys and everything else. But any business really operates from if you don't get things sorted out at the back of the house, it collapses. And the reason that they had such a successful business, because Frank did his thing, which we all saw, but Lyn did all the background things. There was a humility that I really loved and admired about her. She also had an adventurous spirit. But the one thing that stands out is how many people are here today who just want to pay their final respects. And every one of you would have your own individual stories that you'd be able to share, and Frank's organised where there will be a bit of a get-together later on. And invariably there'll be you'll all get a chance to share your stories with each other. I don't know what happens after this. You know, Lyn has left us now, and we all have our own lives to get on with. We'll share them with each other, and they say there's 6 degrees of separation, but really up on the peninsula I think there's only about 1 or 2 degrees of separation. There's a lot of people I see here now that, I see you around, and we share, we're crossing paths all the time, and it's the cobwebs of life where we share. It's those strong bonds that keep us all together as community, as family, and as friends. And the friendships that we formed back in the 60s and all through life. I stand here, I look at Kelly, I look at Eddie up the back, I look at Jane. There are all the ones there. There'll be family, there'll be friends, but there's commitment. And I think these days, with whether we're grieving the loss of one of us or just the times that we live in, they're the things that will get us through to wherever our journeys end up. Lyn was always early. I just wish this wasn't the first. I wish this had been the last time she was early.
Thank you, Kevin, for sharing your heartfelt thoughts and memories. I now invite the grandchildren to come up and share a special tribute to their Nana, Lynette.
Hi, my name's George, and today I stand in front of you with a deep hole in my heart, knowing I'll walk away without another hug. Everything happens for a reason, but the thought of not seeing you again brings tears to my eyes. Over her lifetime, Nanny enjoyed her coffees, watching her grandchildren grow up, and helping everybody. Nanny tried her best in everything she did. She was always going out of her way just to make us happy. The family trips are always my favourite. I still remember how she used to tell me to be whatever my heart desires because she loved me no matter what I do in life. I'm still unsure on how to do life without you, not that I have much of a choice. Your smile lit up the room with so much joy. Thank you for giving me a reason to smile and be happy. When I miss you, I close my eyes and remember what it felt like to be hugged by you. It hurts even more. It hurts on the daily that you're no longer here. I miss your smiling face and you knowing who I was. It is said, there are some people in life that make you laugh a little louder, smile a little bigger, and just live a little better. Nanny was definitely one of those people. I'll come give you a hug, and I'll come give you another hug soon. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but one day. And I promise you, when I do, I won't ever let go again. I just want to walk with you again, give you another hug again. I try and sleep, but the feeling you're no longer here doesn't help. Living without you is like a worst nightmare. If loving you could have made you live forever, I promise you, you would have never have left. Thank you for being my problem solver, hug giver, hand holder, storyteller, teacher, counsellor, and most of all, my best friend. Those memories we had will forever play in the back of my head, and I promise to always share them with people. I will never understand how or why heaven needed you more than I did. God was ready, but my heart was not. Rest in peace, Nanny. I love you always and forever. Also, I just wanted to say thank you for Nanny for marrying Poppy, because I gained another grandfather who loved and treated me as his own. Thank you.
Nanny was a big part of my life. Now that she has passed, it has left a big hole in my heart. Every time I see her, it's like a big rainbow has lit up in the sky, never to disappear. It makes me sad but so happy to think about all the exciting memories we made and I will forever cherish. She is such a kind and loving person, always thinking about others, other people, and not herself. Nanny always looked on the bright side and not the negative. She always had a solution for everything to keep us happy and smiling. Always knowing that she was there for me made me happy and warm inside. I can't forget her perfume. Every time I was near her, I could smell her perfume. I knew it was her. Her smile lit up the sky with joy, and she always had a smile on her face. She was the most toughest person I know. I am going to miss her so much. It is going to be hard to live life without her. It already is. And she is the person I could always count on, and I know that she will look over all of us. I love you, Nanny. You will always be in my heart.
This was written by Taya. Nanny, my best friend, we will always love you and you will always be in our heart. I remember every time you came over, you were always wearing your stylish clothes and your beautiful perfume that we could smell from a mile away. We would even know when someone walked past us at the shops who was wearing your perfume. It would confuse me when you weren't there because we thought you were. One of my favourite memories is when we put on 101 candles on your birthday cake this year when we were out for dinner. It was such a great laugh we had that night. I really love how you are a great nan, seeing us all the time, coming to watch me dance and my concerts and watch my soccer. Thanks for being such a great nanny. I will always love you. Thank you.
Thank you to you, all the grandchildren, for sharing your special tribute of your Nanny Lynette. I'm sure she's smiling up above. I'm really proud of you all. Actually, we thank all our speakers who have shared their heartfelt memories and stories of Lynette. And I know how hard it is to deliver words of reflection, comfort and hope when your heart is aching with loss. We'll now come to our photo story, where we will reflect upon your special, fondest memories of Lynette and your personal relationship with her. And I invite you to look into your hearts and find there a silent wish or blessing for Lynette while we watch this memorable photo story.
When no one else can understand me, when everything I do is wrong, you give me love and consolation, you give me hope to carry on, and you try to show your love for me. That's the wonder of you. And when you smile, pleasure. You touch my hand and I'm a king. Your kiss to me is worth a fortune. Your love to me is everything. And you're always there to lend a hand in all I try to do. That's the wonder of you. I guess I'll never know the reason why you love me as you do. That's the wonder of you.
Didn't know today would be our last, or that I'd have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb I can't feel anymore. I'm praying you just walk back through that door and tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really gone as long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Always made my troubles feel so small, and you were always there to catch me when I'd fall. In a world where heroes come and go, well, God just took the only one I know. So I'll hold you as close as I can, longing for the day when I see your face again. But until then, God must need another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight, singing hallelujah. tonight.
Those beautiful memories. We have been remembering with love and gratitude a life that has ended. Let us return to our own homes and to our work, enriched and inspired by these memories. Thank you for your presence and your love, and for your care and your support. May strength and courage be with you all in the days and nights that follow, which will be a time of grief and of renewal. May Lynette's life and her departure guide our own lives with hope, passion, and a joy for living. Life is precious, as is our relationship to others. Take the time to be fully present with each other, offering care and love in our day-to-day meetings with each other, and just like Lynette demonstrated in her journey of life. And remember that in recounting our stories and our grief with one another, we can bring calm into our own lives. And to all the family, in times of heartache and grief, know that you can call upon your closest family and friends to be with you and to comfort you. Special thanks to Chris Lee and the staff at Peninsula Funerals for their care and dedicated assistance given to the family during the past week. And I do thank Kelly today for running the chapel audio. Thank you for your help. The family have invited you to stay after this service for refreshments at the Pasadena's restaurant Church Point, where you can continue to share your stories and memories of Lynette. We now come to our final committal, and if you could all please stand. As we approach the end of this farewell, we have had the opportunity to share moments of Lynette's life, the gifts she has brought to her family and circle of friends, the richness of her talents for people, her love of learning and sharing. Thank you, Lynette, for all you have gifted to us in your loving life. What good you have shown us, we will show to others. There isn't any part of life that Lynette is absent from. When we weep, she weeps with us. When we laugh about special times, she laughs with us. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose on earth, a time to be born and to pass. The stories and memories will remain. May you remember Lynette with a smile, with an uplifted heart, with her love always with you. Tenderly, lovingly, reverently, we commit the body of Lynette May Vallone to her final resting place, and may the perpetual light shine upon her, and may she rest in peace.
of dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dream that you dare to, oh why can't I? Well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them go. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like a lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dare to, why, oh why can't I? Okay, this one's for